Shut up and sit down. And sit down.
All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 360 Sports Show, coming to you live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch here on our new time, Mondays at 7:30 p.m. Thank you for finding us here live. I'm Andrew Pizzelli. He's Christian Lauber. We're going to be getting into a lot of NFL discussion, but a few Major League Baseball and NBA notes along the way here. But the NFL, it is what's dominating the headlines right now as we are inching closer to the NFL season. If you want to join us anytime here in the live stream, you can join in with the chat function on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, or Twitch, or you can always email the show, the 360sportshow at gmail.com. A lot of our podcast listeners engage with us there. So if you're a podcast listener, thank you for finding us as well. And you can join in with us by emailing the show anytime throughout the week as well when we get to the mailbag. So without any further ado, a pomp and circumstance, Christian, where do you want to start? We'll start with the NFL, and then we'll get through all of that, and then get to the other smaller news and notes. But what do you want to start with here in regards to the National Football League? 2 weeks away from the season beginning.
Yeah, some COVID issues popping up for quarterbacks already. Here we are, not even into week one yet, but I suspect that the NFL will have a better season than last year. So that's kind of where I'll start is I think they're in a better place, obviously vaccines and everything like that and the protocols. So I think it should be a much better product in terms of there will be fans. There will be majority of the players, I would think, be on the field, hopefully. And there shouldn't be any huge debacles like last year with the Titans and all that. So that's good news. In terms of just my interest, it's always been the quarterbacks here throughout preseason and going into week one. That's really the story in my mind is a lot of young quarterbacks, some of which who have a ways to go, others who presumably will start, but are they ready? Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, guys like that. And that's really the story to me so far is all eyes are on these quarterbacks, and we don't know yet, but we're only 2 weeks away now, so we'll see.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. I mean, we know just from the rules themselves, we know there's not going to be a situation like we had last year with outbreaks and rescheduling and shuffling. The NFL did that for a year. They're done. If you can't play, if you can't field the team, guess what? Forfeit.
Too bad.
You lose. Move on. On to the next week. So there's not going to be any of this. There will no longer be Wednesday night football. Thank God. No. But not even Wednesday night. Wednesday afternoon football.
Yeah, do the standard Thursday, Sunday, Monday. We're good with that.
So that is, I mean, good on one hand. If you're a team that is not the majority of your team is not vaccinated, and or if you have a quarterback who isn't vaccinated, I think those teams are going to run into troubles. And a lot of the things are going to come down to when you play teams and how you play them. The Buffalo Bills, right? They should be the favorites in the AFC East, right? They're one of the favorites in the AFC.
Yep.
But they have a lot of guys that aren't vaccinated for whatever reasons. They all have their individual reasons, and no two guys are alike in terms of why they aren't getting the vaccine. But you'd think from a competitive standpoint, even if you're a guy who says, hey, I'm young, I'm healthy, I don't need it, wouldn't you want to make sure you're available? Cole Beasley's already missed time. He's an important piece for that team, that slot position.
Isaiah Mckenzie has got shot number 1 after he got fined $15,000, just under $15,000.
Well, that's the other thing. Guys not wearing the mask properly. Which also is like, do they have? Is it snitches? I mean, is somebody ratting people out, or is it cameras everywhere and they have an intern whose job is to review every second of film from every NFL facility?
No, at least in that instance, there was NFL people in the building that day, so they saw them. Yeah. So, like, just wear the mask, otherwise you get caught. So, at least for that situation, there's probably other, ways to go about it, but there are people that check on that stuff in the building that day.
Yeah. So,
as far as
he just decided, you know what? I don't think I want to get fined like 15, 30K every week for the whole season. If I have to be thinking about like, was the mask, here?
Yeah.
Is it here? Is it here? Some of these guys, you look at them, they're like, do they not have? We've been doing this for a year. You can't figure it out?
Yeah. One nostril.
Yeah.
No nostrils.
Am I doing it right? Am I doing it right?
Cut a hole in the middle of it.
You'd think, yeah. That's
the all-timer.
The best one is the like this. The mask is all kind of stuff like this.
Yeah.
That's this is good. But you'd think these quarterbacks, most important position on the field, would all be vaccinated, because if you lose a lineman, or if a linebacker misses a week, there's depth. You hope you have depth. You can overcome that.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have your starting quarterback,
it's a big loss.
Screwed. It's a huge loss. It's the most important position on the field. And so, I don't know. Any of these quarterbacks, we were talking about Tom Brady. He hasn't publicly said, but I think you can infer from his behavior, the lack of a mask. You said his son was a ball boy, not wearing a mask. You got to imagine then that they're both vaccinated. And it would track that whether or not, Tom Brady likes to think, he's got his Protect supplements. He's got all his TB12 method for battling COVID-19. But you think a guy that's so maniacal and competitive would just say, I'm just going to get it so I don't have to worry about being in protocols.
Yeah.
And like, oh, a guy, 8 degrees away from me got it, but now I'm in the circle of I'm ensnared in it, and now I got to miss a game. That Tom Brady ain't going to let that happen. So no. I got to imagine he's vaccinated.
I would assume so too, just based on the competitive advantage that you get if you're vaccinated compared to unvaccinated. I don't know. I mean, I guess technically, yeah, it is a competitive advantage because there's different testing protocols. There's all types of different things. So different rule set. But Josh Allen, Carson Wentz is on the COVID list now. He's already been hurt. Now he's going to miss more time. Does he know what the hell's going on in Indy? Because I don't know how he's been in the playbook that much. So you're going to have questions like this throughout the season with certain guys. The Bills are obviously a big question mark because they could be missing guys left and right because I don't know their percentage. I don't know every team's percentage, but I would have to believe they have quite a few guys that are on the fence about it. So,
and they're not going to be playing an easy schedule. If you're missing like one of your best slot receivers, you're missing a lineman, you're missing a corner, you're missing your quarterback, and you're like in a big stretch of games, and you go like 0-3, you have some 3-game skid. Who knows? That could be the difference between you being a 1 or a 2 seed, and now you're like the 5 seed having to play multiple wild card rounds. You know, when you were looked at as a potential challenger, maybe even a favorite in the AFC.
They're a favorite in the AFC East for sure, right? I mean, you have to believe
definitely for the division. But I mean, there's people who think that they could be favorites for the conference.
If you're going into a game and you're missing Josh Allen or Cole Beasley against a team like New England or maybe the Jets, we've seen the NFL, anybody can beat anybody on any given week. You get caught by the Jets or something, and then you get knocked out of first, and just your division alone. I mean, stuff like that could happen just based on what we saw last year. They're going to be tested more, things like that. So there are question marks going into the season about that stuff. I mean, it's you see teams like Kansas City and Atlanta. I believe Atlanta might still only be the only team 100% vaccinated.
Yep.
And it starts with the quarterback. I mean, that's really the start of it. Is Matt Ryan was one of the first guys to get it. The whole team followed suit, kind of. Yeah. Same with Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. So these guys are kind of, I don't say following, they have their own ideals, but they're following in terms of, okay, just competitively where it's worth getting the thing. And obviously there's other,
there's actual health reasons.
Like exactly. Yeah.
But put a football view on it. You want to be available, right? You want to play? Do you want to not have to deal with the extra 10 steps that non-vaccinated guys got to deal with? Get the shot. Strictly from football reasons.
Especially, I think unvaccinated have different weight rooms and things like this. So there's a whole slew of rules.
They have to test every 5 a.m., Christian.
Yeah.
Training camp, guys have to get there at 5 a.m. to get tested so that they could have results before 9 a.m. hitting fields.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want to sleep in an extra couple hours?
And at travel too, you're going to be in your hotel. You're going to be getting tested still. You're going to be, all the other guys are going out to team. Like, what do you miss out on there in terms of just being a team, right? Yeah. A lot of these guys we heard, you go home after a game. We heard that for the NHL, for the NBA last year when all those rules were in place and there were no vaccines. Now, if you're vaccinated, you can go back out. You can go to restaurants and stuff in other towns. So you're getting back to some normalcy. What do you do if you're not vaccinated? You're going to be by yourself getting room service. It's just a weird dynamic that I feel like maybe during the season, more players will get it just based on, okay, I'm tired of this.
Do we think we'll get to a point this year that there'll be a team that has to forfeit a game?
I tend to doubt it just because I think the rates of vaccination are going up, which kind of helps with that. I guess it's always possible to have a bunch of breakthroughs, but I also think you have guys like you mentioned, as long as it's not 10, 12 guys. Like last year, there are no vaccines. We saw what happened with the Titans. They would have been forfeiting games left and right last year. Yeah. This year, I don't see that happening.
Or like the Broncos, no quarterbacks.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
If we say yes, it'll happen once, who's the team? Who's most likely?
Tough question. Maybe Buffalo? I don't know.
I was going to say Buffalo, and I mean, I don't know. I have no idea where they're at with vaccinations, but like the Raiders would be a good. It would just seem like that would be the way their like John Gruden era part 2 has gone. Yeah. Is that like they'll be in the hunt for a playoff spot and then have to like forfeit a meaningful game. I mean, that's just how it's gone for them the last like 2-3 years.
There's only 4 teams that are below the 89% vaccination rate. So that's pretty good odds.
What's the threshold? I forget what the threshold is. Like, is it X number of players or is it just a case on game day and you're done?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Because I don't know if they necessarily release that information publicly. We just were told there will be forfeitures. As
of 4 days ago, the total player vaccination rate was 93%. So that's pretty good. I mean, that's pretty good for the league. You're talking about 7%. That's a few guys maybe on each team, a couple guys on each team.
See, this is from NFL. Let's see. Thomas Sawyer report Thursday that the NFL sent a memo to its club stating that if a game cannot be rescheduled during the 18-week schedule due to a COVID-19 outbreak among unvaccinated players, the team with the outbreak will forfeit and be credited with a loss. So, what do they consider an outbreak? Like how many?
Right.
How many players? I mean, like you said, the rates are high, but there's some team. Vaccinated players. This is great. Radio is perfect. It doesn't say. I mean, I guess there's an outbreak, but what constitutes an outbreak?
I don't know.
All of your I mean, what if you have 3 unvaccinated players and they all get COVID, and it's like reserve special teamer, practice squad quarterback, and like third string lineman.
Well, it's probably based on contact tracing as well, right? So I would assume maybe someone tests positive and there's a chain reaction. Maybe 15 guys go down. I think you're probably forfeiting.
This is a long memo. Tom Pelissero has the whole thing at 360 Sports Show. We'll go and peruse through and read all the details. It's like it just says outbreak. It doesn't necessarily lay out how they'll define that, which I guess gives them wiggle room. Yeah, it doesn't say. It doesn't say what they'll consider an outbreak, so not surprising. But anywho, the rookie quarterback thing, we talked a lot last week about Trevor Lawrence. I'm going to double down. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a bust in Jacksonville. He may not be a bust in his career because we've seen plenty of examples of guys. Look at Alex Smith. He was a bust in San Francisco. Ryan Tannehill. No, that's another great current one. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a bust in Jacksonville. And it's because they did Gardner Minshew. Because want to know what that tells me? They're gonna throw him into the wolves.
Yep.
No line, limited weapons. Go out there and just huck it around. And he's gonna get hurt, or he's gonna have a dreadful year, and it's just gonna affect him mentally. I mean, you go from a Heisman Trophy winning, Heisman Trophy caliber quarterback, champion, never lost a game. You're the greatest thing ever. To you're going to win. What do we think Jaguars are going to win this year? 3 games? 4 games?
Yeah.
With Lawrence running for his life every single week?
Pretty much.
I have this much faith in Urban Meyer. None.
Yeah, I think that's not. I don't think that part's going to work out. I'm not ready to say he's going to be busting Jacksonville yet. I'm not there yet.
Well, maybe if Meyer gets fired in year 1, but I just don't see it. I don't see it working. I don't. And things could change. He could get into the regular season and all of a sudden he's elevating all the guys around him. I really doubt it though. No offensive line, really hard. You need time. It's going to be really hard to do that. So them's the unfortunate facts. So I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a bust in Jacksonville, and the Jaguars will just stay the way they've been for their entire existence, pretty much, which is going to be
part's definitely true, but
middling to bottom feeders.
I'm not there yet. I think maybe a year or 2, and they'll be in business. I think the talent is there for Lawrence, so I think he'll definitely elevate people around him. Unfortunately, they might not have an O-line, so who knows what happens this year. Injury is my biggest concern with him because he's going to probably get hit a lot. Just based on what I saw in preseason, it was not great.
Yeah.
The other thing is he's got to be careful about running around a little bit himself because he's trying to crash into guys already, and it's not even week 1. So
yep.
Injury is my biggest concern. I don't think he'll be a bust because the talent level's there. They just need to get a couple guys around him, which I don't know if they'll be able to do because it is Jacksonville, but that's your franchise.
I know.
I mean,
the Eagles go get Minshew. I don't necessarily know why. Good for him. Get to be on a better team. Meanwhile, former Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz, now at the Colts, supposed to be the savior for the Colts. We're just a quarterback away, baby.
Yeah.
Colts, another one of these teams, feel like, hey, you know what? If we had an actual quarterback, Phillip Rivers was great. It was at the end of the line. If we could get some real serious quarterback play, if Carson Wentz could be like almost MVP Carson, we got a shot at a Super Bowl. This is a ready team, ready to win. And he's been hurt already, in COVID protocols now. Season's right around the corner. It doesn't look good for them. I think it's going to be another team that's just going to struggle out of the gate, and they got enough talent. Maybe they find a way to win 10, 11 games, but they just have bad start written all over them.
Yeah, I don't disagree based on everything that's happened already. But I mean, if Wentz is on the field, they're in much better shape. But I'm just not convinced he'll be out there every week. So whether it's injury, COVID, you name it, he hasn't played that much in the last few years just based on that alone. He's just not super durable, or he hasn't been. Colts are probably a little bit better than the Eagles, I will say, other than maybe their Super Bowl year. The talent level for the Colts is there. It's just a matter of, can Wentz stay on the field? Because he's a pretty solid quarterback, and I think he would be good for them. I'm not I don't believe he'll stay on the field as long as they need him to.
Yeah.
That's kind of the problem.
So another big story, and I know this is what Christian wanted to get to. People have been wondering, speculating, pontificating about who the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots will be in week 1. I think I know who the starter's going to be, and I'll read you his stat line from last night's preseason game. 2 of 5, 10 yards, 1 interception, and an 8.3 passer rating.
That interception was a great play, though.
Doesn't that just ooze confidence, though? I mean, my big takeaway from last night's game is just how Cam Newton came out and just flashed and just showed you that, you know what? This is a different Cam. It's a different year. Cam Newton is back, baby, and he's ready. He staked his claim on the starting job. Oh, wait, no, he didn't do that at all. It's looked pretty much exactly the same. And Mac Jones, I think, has looked great, if not better. But Cam Newton is going to be the starter week 1.
Yeah,
for whatever reason, they want to try and ride it out as long as they can. I don't know if there's some sort of like Bill feels like he's going to be loyal to players, something like people like he thinks maybe is there some sort of like non-football thing here going on where he's trying to like say, see, no, I'm like a good guy. Like, is there any sort of image rehab that he's trying to pull with Cam Newton? I have not seen anything to convince me that Cam Newton is going to be any better than he was last year. Now, the lights could come on, the games could start, real game plans, real action, and it could look different because he's going to be running around and they have more of an offense. But in everything we've heard from training camp and the guys who are there every day, he doesn't look all that different. Mac Jones has looked good and impressive and steadily gotten better, and you just feel like there's more confidence from the guys on the field when he's out there. There's pop, and there's the potential to make plays in the passing game. I think Mac Jones starts sooner rather than later, but Cam Newton is your week 1 starter. Enjoy that 8.3 passer rating.
That pick was a good play, though. I mean,
that was a great really play, but still.
I'll tell you what, I think Cam's going to be better. Is he going to be great? No. I think he is what he is at this stage, but the Eagles game, preseason, he was good. He was much better in that game than I've seen in a long while for Cam Newton. Going back all the way to last year, because he was not good last year. But I mean, he's obviously your starter. He started all 3 preseason games. He had a hiccup with COVID testing issues and came right back, right in. Past Bill might have benched the greatest quarterback of all time for doing something stupid like that. But nope, it's new and improved, nice Bill. And so Newton is seemingly just going to walk in, be the starter, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that he's going to be starting week 1. As much as they want to keep us on edge and like, they're going to announce it today. Cam Newton should be the week 1 starter. And you know what? Maybe Mac Jones is not ready yet. Physically, his knee looks a little bit not healthy, not fully healthy. So maybe he's just not ready physically for the whole year, and they want to keep him out. But they have to be winning games on the field. I mean, if they're losing because Newton is just not getting it done, you have to make a change, and I think they probably will.
Yeah, 100%. Because guess what? Last year, when Cam airmails a throw or spikes it into the ground and is misreading plays or getting sacked or fumbling, guess what? They're coming off the field and the crowd noise is still going like, woo, yeah, woo, woo. This year, there's going to be a lot of boos.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of boos. There'll be boos consumed and boos expelled.
Especially when you have the other kids sitting there.
Yeah. So the crowd is not going to put up with it. And guess what? The Crafts aren't going to put up with it. They didn't spend the last 20 years building up Patriot Place to be like, New England Patriots Disneyland, to have Cam Newton stink up the joint and people not want to come to games. They're not. That's again, that's just facts. They're not.
What about the other guys in the room?
Oh, that's the other thing too. I mean, like I said, I think you see the confidence that I think guys, it's got to be a divided locker room. There's certainly guys and probably a divided coaching staff. There's certainly guys that probably say like, we should just go with Mac. But to your point, Is Mac fully healthy? If he played this year from start to finish, it'd be the most games in a season he's ever played. Does Cam get, as Colin in the comment section points out, give Cam 4 weeks? That seems to be this benchmark here. Cam, we're giving you your shot to prove that you're different. You've got the Dolphins, the Jets, the Jameis Winston-led Saints. Who knows what that's going to look like in real speed. And then the Buccaneers. If you go 2-2, it would kind of depend on how it looks. If you beat the Saints and Bucks, woo, 2-2, you feel good about. If you beat the Bucks and you're 2-2, you feel good. Odds are, though, you could be 1-3. I mean, it's you don't know. If the quarterback play is poor, bad, you could be 0-4. So it'll depend on how it looks. I've said right along, I have this feeling that the switch gets made in that Buccaneers game, and that's when Mac gets to take over. And once Mac takes over, that's it for Cam. I don't see any sort of him wanting to buy into some sort of role and take a back seat. I don't see that happening. But
I think their schedule is pretty soft early on. So I feel like Bill and the coaching staff is probably like, why don't we just give Jones more time in practice to get a handle on things? Because I think we can win with the run game.
That's what I'm saying. You got the best of both worlds. You can play Cam and play your conservative style with Cam. Not that you would be like, let's open it up and huck it all over the place with Mac Jones, but obviously you're going to be kind of trying to ground and pound and just win games 14-10, 17-10 with Cam, and let him run and control the ball and not really throw it a whole bunch. And you could get away with that those first couple of weeks and let Mac get more time in practice. The thing is, though, in regular season practice, the starter gets the reps. There's not going to be training camp where it's like, all right, well, Cam, you split the reps. No, your starter gets the reps. You don't let the backup get the reps.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It could just be about getting that knee a little healthier before him having to be out there the whole time. I think if it was an actual quarterback competition, it's Mac Jones's job. Like I said, he's popped more. Cam Newton hasn't done anything to lose the job, but he hasn't impressed me. We're impressed because he completed a pass. That's how bad it was last year. That shouldn't be the barometer. We should be looking at him versus the other guy, not him versus what he was last year.
Well, he's
pretty much anything is better than what he was last year.
It's not clear cut. It's very close between the two. Two things that I like about Mac Jones so far, anyway, is seems like he has the mind and the head for the NFL. I mean, already seems like he kind of just gets it. He's had a few hiccups, but he's a rookie. And the second is ball placement, which I know coming out that was the number one thing with him. But he's been very, very good with ball placement.
Mm-hmm.
He's throwing it on the back shoulder where only his guy can get it. Tight windows,
hitting guys on the run.
Yeah.
So many times Cam completes passes, but guys are falling down or leaning back. They can't get yards after the catch.
He's also throwing a gunner brick hands Olszewski half the time in the preseason, so it's hard to complete a pass with that guy. But that being said, he's been with all the twos most of the time. So he's obviously not going to start. But it's been impressive to lead the twos, obviously, probably against the second and third stringers for other teams. But he's been impressive. You can tell he's on another level than those guys.
Yeah.
But bottom line, the Patriots are going to have to win games with their defense and the run game,
which I think they're more than capable of doing. The running game looks great. I love the stable of running backs that they're going to have.
Yeah.
And the defense, the biggest improvement I see is in that front seven, which the moves they made told you that. Last year, they were one of the worst teams at plays made at or behind the line of scrimmage. Mm-hmm. Your leading, tackle for loss player was Adrian Phillips with 3. When your weak safety is making...
he's playing linebacker too.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. When you got a safety who's coming down playing and he's made the most plays, you'd expect that guy to be a linebacker or a lineman. When it's a safety, you'd say, okay, well, they must have been bringing him all the time. And that number would be absurd. No, it was 3. 3 tackles for loss, which ranked 250th in the league.
Yeah.
Not good. So I mean, Juwan Bentley, actually, of all people, has looked pretty good. Maybe he just needed to wear that number 8 jersey.
I don't know about that.
I think he's looked okay. I think
he
he's looked good.
He looks pretty good next to Hightower, Van Noy, and Judon.
But exactly, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I
would look good against. With
I think you put those guys, you put some of these guys, with better guys around them. The pieces fit all a little bit better. You're not asking Juwan Bentley to be Dante Hightower. Now you're
going to be pissed week 1 when he misses a tackle. I guarantee you.
All I've said is they've looked better, and yeah, I mean, got Van Noy. I mean, having all these guys back.
Judon has not played a lot. He's been one of my favorite players to watch so far, though. He's been very, very good.
Disruptive.
Done much more than I thought he would.
Yeah, everybody.
I mean, it's not even the real thing yet, but he's been explosive in preseason. He's gotten to the quarterback. He's been in on a bunch of plays. I just think I agree with you. I mean, their front 7 is really their strength. Their secondary, I have some concern about, but no Gilmore. They just signed Sean Wade. Who knows what that guy is? Jonathan Jones is hurt. So secondary could be an issue, but hopefully that, the front 7 can make up for that.
So you can make up for that with pressure, which I definitely think they're going to be capable of generating. I think Gilmore, they're going to get a deal done with him. I think they're going to work something out with him because they need him. And I don't think they're just going to I don't think he's going to not play. But I also think, I don't know, are they going to want to tug him around and he'll play, but he's disgruntled? I don't know.
The problem is he's not on the field, and he's coming off a quad injury that he had surgery for. So what are you paying him for? He hasn't done anything.
Well, I think to
it's not like he had an all-world year last year. He was not great last year.
I think they want to get him on the field, and if giving him a dummy extension gets him on the field,
I would do it, but I'm not paying him, 3 years and 30-something million. I mean, He hasn't been on the field in months. So, get out there and show that you're actually healthy and can get on the field, and then give him a bump. Sure, if he's on the field, you're a much better team. There's no question about that.
Yeah, I agree. So, any other concerns, thoughts? I mean, we're not gonna have any more games. 2 weeks until games start, but
yeah, I mean, I'm ready to go now, but hey, patience.
Man. So yeah, what opening day?
We'll probably have a schedule run through next week, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say we can do some pre-pick'ems. I mean, being on Monday nights, we'll be doing a lot of post-game analysis from the weekend. Colin in the comment section, you guys are skipping over the most exciting story, the kicker battle. It's gonna be Nick Folk, I think. I don't know. They brought Folk out. He banged one field goal through. And then they were like, okay, you're good. And then they let Nordine play the rest of the game, probably to give him a chance to
made him
get a roster spot.
I kind of like the undrafted guy. I'm not
no. I saw enough trickle down the leg in that game where he just started shanking them. We know what you have in Nick Folk. He works.
He's limited though. He's older.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Christian, come on. If they decide to cut Nick Folk and keep Nordine, in week 1 they lose a game because he went 1 of 4 on field goals and 1 of 3 on extra points, or something like that. You'd be screaming why are you turn into a rookie kid? You had a veteran. Blah.
Yeah, but guess what? You could probably just sign Folk again and release Nordine. So why not?
To what? Save a buck?
Root for chaos. Let's go. I want Nordine.
You want Nordine?
I think he can kick. I think he's got a bomb of a leg. I think he can kick.
Yeah, is he accurate?
No, I'm saying he probably could kick it into the third row from 60, though.
Is he accurate?
I mean, not on extra points, but on
can he put it between? Can he put it into the third row between the pipes?
That remains to be seen, but I'd still go with it.
Colin, who do you want? You brought up the subject. Listeners, who do you want as the kicker for the Patriots? Nick Folk or Quinn Nordine?
I want something new.
Colin says, "I want 60-yard field goals." True. I would love to see that happening, but Bill doesn't let them attempt those. Bill would rather punt than let guys attempt. He didn't let Steven Gostkowski attempt. I thought they were gonna let him break the record when they were down in Mexico City, because it was like he could have hit a 70-yarder in that altitude.
Yeah.
And instead they like ran one more cheapo play to get like 10 more yards. And it only became like a 63-yarder.
Well, we'll find out pretty soon, because tomorrow they have.
And Colin says Nordine.
Guys. Yeah, amen. I think we root for chaos. We want the young guy, and let's just watch him kick from 60. He might not make it, but it'll be fun.
Okay, is that going to be the tagline for this year then?
Pretty
we
much.
may not make it, but it'll be fun.
Yeah. Also, I mean, look, what do you lose here? I mean, folks going to be on the street probably anyway, right? So.
Yeah. There's always somebody, but I just don't want to be one of those teams that's always chasing a kicker the whole year.
If I had to guess, the kicker is going to be Nick Folk. But if we get Mac Jones and Nordine, I'll be happy.
Oh, goodness. All right. If you have any other NFL thoughts, questions, you can drop them in the comment section, and we'll circle back to all those things. We've been talking some NFL preseason. And obviously we'll have tons more to talk about after cuts come out and in the week leading up to opening day at last. But I wanted to hit on something. We had the discussion last week if Rajon Rondo is a Hall of Fame basketball player. He's got 2 championships with 2 of the most storied franchises in league history. He's top 15 in assists, playoff triple doubles, all these. He's got a lot of accomplishments. He's well respected. An old school kind of point guard. He's not Russell Westbrook. He's not go out and drop 30 points and get a triple, but he's just the floor general, right? Well, he's going to have a shot to get ring number 3, because after being bought out by the Memphis Grizzlies, right on back to LA, he's going to the Lakers, joining like 80 other people on a 1-year, $1 million deal. Half of the all-stars from 2012 are now on the Lakers.
Got to fill the roster.
It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be good. Some of them could be old and washed up. I don't know what Marc Gasol is going to be in year whatever, but facts are facts. They've got all these guys who were former all-stars all on this team together. What do you think of the move? I think it's great for the Lakers, because now, like I said, all these guys don't have to hog the ball. Rondo can hog the ball and get it to everybody. But now, Russell Westbrook, you're just going to stand in the corner and shoot threes? That's what I said from the beginning. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know if Rondo and Westbrook can be on the floor at the same time.
No, but if Rondo's coming off the bench, I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah. But in crunch time, does anybody want Westbrook out there in crunch time?
Yeah. Why not?
The guy can't shoot free throws, and he just wants to. It's all him.
You can get to the rim, though.
Maybe. Then LeBron's the guy standing in the corner.
What do you mean? Maybe.
I'm saying maybe
that's like
that.
A bowl.
I'm saying maybe that works. I don't know. These are things we'll have to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
But I'd rather. I don't know.
You can do Lakers. You can do Lakers analysis on your own time.
Whatever. Fine. You like the move? Yes or no?
I do, because I think Rondo is a key part of that championship team. And although the Westbrook dynamic might be a little bit off, I think Rondo coming off the bench, and if you'll cycle guys in and out. So if Westbrook and Rondo aren't on the same on the floor at the same time at all, I think you're fine. It's a good backup point guard to have. And if you need 5 guys on the floor in terms of those 2 playing together, you can do that as well. You'll have those 2, LeBron, Anthony Davis. I think that's a pretty good lineup, and I would say Rondo would have the ball and Westbrook can play off the ball. So who knows if they can not yell at each other and get angry, but it remains to be seen. I like the move just because I think Rondo was a huge part of that team.
Do you think the Celtics should have had any interest in Rondo or pushed for that? Because from what I heard, there really was no interest. Do you think there should have been interest? Because we've said he's the type of point guard that we think this team needs. But at this stage in the game, is Rondo worth it for this team?
Just what the Celtics need, another guard. They just signed 4 guards already.
Sure, but obviously he's a different kind of guard.
Yeah, you're going to cycle in 5 guards? to the same spot? Schroeder, Chris Dunn, Marcus Smart, Rondo? I don't think so. I'm out on that one. So no, unless you made another move and cleared a space, I guess.
Yeah, I
But
think you would have done something else.
overall, no. I'm fine with what the Celtics have there, I guess. I'd rather have Lonzo Ball, but this is why we can't have nice things.
He wants to be in Chicago. Last week I used the analogy of the floating feather to describe the Red Sox. Now I think it's a rock because
No, it's no different from last week.
No. But here's what I think. Here's why. I think what we're seeing. I mean, they're a team that makes a lot of mistakes. They've got a whole bunch of guys now caught up in COVID protocols, which I think is the sign of a little more lackadaisicalness. The team on the field seems like they're fighting. But even when they win, it doesn't seem right. And I think what we're seeing from Chaim Bloom is that he was. It's the thing you kind of we've worried about with these numbers guys, is that he looks at it like, well, this is great, we're having a great season, and but I'm not going to make a move because we want to keep our farm system and develop it. If we win with this current team, great, but if we don't, we'll keep our farm system and we'll develop. But it's a game played by people, and it seems those people weren't very happy about not being bought in on. And so, yippee, you're going to have some better draft position because your team's going to tank it. And they seem to be fine. I don't know. That worries me long term if you're not willing to. I don't know. The way Chaim Bloom is treated the last couple weeks and the things he said just make me seem like, all right, you're a good guy to build up a team, but if a team's experiencing any sort of success, it's like they just think, well, they're just ones and zeros. They're robots who will just keep doing what they're doing. Not.
I mean, he's an automated spreadsheet. That's basically what he is. He punches numbers. He's analytical, and he wants to make the playoffs, quote unquote, and also build the farm system at the same time. So this is exciting. We're not going to buy in, even though we're in first place. We're going to be right on the edge and maybe make the playoffs, but also build up the farm system, more draft picks, instead of just looking at the product and seeing, okay, maybe we should buy in.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I can't believe have you ever seen a team? I'm trying to think of teams that have gone in such opposite directions like this. I mean, there's been teams that go on great runs. The A's, the Moneyball A's, had a big turnaround point in their year. They went on a huge run. They get to the playoffs. The 2004 Red Sox, it was one of those what are we going to have to do? They had a good run. And there's been some collapses.
Maybe the 2021 Yankees, anybody?
But that's what I'm saying. But I honestly, to go from a team that it seemed so dead in the water and just at every level, they just seemed like they were just, hey, whatever. We're just having a dead in the water year. The fact that they even wanted to go out and get Rizzo when you're having a dead in the water year, not a bad year, not a down year, a dead in the water year, to now they had what? Was it a 19-game winning streak?
Something like that. They've won 7 in a row now.
And they are 2 games. Oh, no, sorry. They're 6 games back at Tampa, which I don't think they'll catch Tampa. But if you look at the wild card, they're 2 games up on the Red Sox, but they're just playing so much better. I've never seen. Can anybody think, we need some of the more baseball historians, of a team that was that dead in the water to being where they are now, and they're not showing any signs of slowing down? I can't think of any in recent memory here.
No way.
That didn't make radical changes. They added 1 guy.
2 guys, Joey Gallo.
Yeah, but I mean, I look at it's the Rizzo move that's been
sure
the one that's more talked about. To change things that much, I can't think. Maybe well, the 1975 Cincinnati Reds made up. I don't know.
We don't need to do that.
But in terms of recent memory, I can't think of a turnaround like this. To go from, like I said, dead in the water.
Well, they're up 6 games in the Rays now. I mean, it's just, they're smoking everybody. So, and your team is just plummeting, so there you go.
Rock bottom. I don't think they make it. Limping along. I mean, it's like the Sox, the 6-4 in their last 10. So it's numbers wise, it's not as bad, but the A's are 2.5 games back of them. And I just feel the best way for this season to end is for them to get caught on the last day.
Yeah, I don't know. The A's are struggling as well. So.
But even if they do, here's the problem, Christian. And I know, we've talked about, Chris Sale has looked good, right? Like that's one of the one bright spots is that Sale has looked good. You're probably going to have to pitch Sale on that last weekend to like potentially get in. And then he's not available to you in a wild card game. And so you lose.
I think they would probably go Evaldi there and then pitch Sale in the play-in maybe.
Maybe.
All hands on deck for that play-in,
Maybe. I don't know.
Got to get there first, though.
Either way, even if they get there, I mean, maybe you can advance in a one-game playoff because you play your best guy. In a series, you need more than one starting pitcher. And that starting pitcher can't just go 5 innings with this bullpen.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, by the way, Kyle Schwarber is actually hitting the crap out of the ball. The problem is, the fit. I mean, he doesn't play first, really, and he plays the same position as JD Martinez, which is either DH or outfield, and you already have that. So I don't know what their plan was. I still think Rizzo is a better fit, but Schwarber has not been bad.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I never jumped on the train. I watched the train as it was going around in circles. No, that's kind of nice. That Red Sox train, it's going. That's kind of cool. I think that train there's a bridge out over here, and that train is heading for the bridge.
It's definitely possible. I still think if they get on a little bit of a run, they'll at least get in. They probably aren't going very far, but I still think they should get into the playoffs.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll know. We'll know soon. How many games left?
Not many.
Let's see. BostonRedSox.com schedule. Can't be many left. We haven't seen any. Well, actually, do the standings have the magic number yet?
I don't
Let's see.
So, no.
Where are we?
It might be a little bit early.
We're still in August. So at the Rays tonight.
28 games left.
Already down 2-1. Top of the 4th to the Rays. Rays tomorrow. And then the Rays on Wednesday and Thursday. Let's see. So a lot of the Rays. September 30th.
I think
so you end
30,
second, third.
30 games left.
At Washington. So it's like, around 30 games. Sounds like a lot, but it's really not. I mean, hey, guess what? You're going to get to play the Orioles again. 6 times. You'll play the Orioles 6 more times. So you should get 6 more wins.
Yeah.
You're playing Tampa Bay 7 times. The Indians, who have quasi-packed it in, but you just only went 2 or 3 out of 3 with them. The Mets, the Mets. And then the Yankees again. That's a tough schedule to end with. Those are all the teams that you're, some of the teams that you're looking up at. And so they're going to be wanting to just bury you. If you played the Orioles 18 more times, I'd say you're in luck.
They might get in because of those Baltimore games.
Maybe. You'd have to win all of them. Then you have to not lose. You can't lose you can't get swept. You'd have to win all the Baltimore games and just not get swept. Sweep Baltimore, Cleveland, and the Mets, and that should put you in.
30 games. A's are struggling. Red Sox are struggling. One of these teams is going to get in. Who's going to sneak in? I still think it's the Red Sox, but it's not by much.
Yeah. One last NFL note I wanted to get to, I actually meant to before we depart here. If you have any questions before we leave you can drop those in the comment section or email the 360sportshow@gmail.com. I'll actually check the mailbag right now, see if we have anything from the past week. Big shout out to our podcast listeners on Sounder FM or wherever you get your podcast from. You can listen to the audio version of the show, which we put out after the live broadcast. And nobody has reached out through the email. No, nothing in the mailbag. But this is a story, Christian. I just wanted to get your thought. The Texans are not going to play Deshaun Watson.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to pay him to just sit for 18 weeks? I mean, I got to imagine, wouldn't you rather just be done with this? Because until all of his
They're
outside
asking
of the
too much, though. They're asking for way too much.
That's what I'm saying. So, but wouldn't you rather just be done with it and say, you know what?
Probably.
If someone's willing to offer me a first round pick and a conditional first, that could become a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, whatever, if he can't play for us this year.
Yeah.
Just do it. Get rid of the guy. Because, I mean, what good does it do you to have him around, eating up that money, and what? Not getting reps at practice? It's a giant distraction. Wouldn't you want to just be done with the guy? You're going to have a horrible year anyways. Better to have a horrible year, get a top draft pick, have some other teams' picks too, and you can do one of these speed rebuilds.
Yeah, I would 100% want to be done with it. The problem is the Texans apparently don't want to be done with it because they're asking for far too much. Miami's obviously the rumored team, but I don't think you're giving up 2 firsts and 3 seconds for a guy that could possibly sit out on the exempt list or get in trouble with the law. He has a civil case, and it's a mess. So you're asking for way too much to get rid of a guy with all that baggage right now.
Do you think the NFL, I mean, do you think part of the fault in this is that the NFL hasn't said anything, that they're just leaving the Texans kind of twisting in the wind because they don't want to, of all the things, now they don't want to be the ones to like stand up and say, hey, you're on the exempt list, which would kind of crystallize a lot of things for teams and for them to make a move. Instead, they're like, well, they're just going to wait and see what happens.
Yeah. It is kind of weird.
Whereas they get very proactive in other circumstances, and now in this one, they're not. I don't know.
Yeah, it is kind of weird the way they're handling it, but I guess they're just waiting for other shoes to drop, maybe. I don't know. It just seems like they're kind of just sitting and waiting, which is kind of a weird approach. But also, you don't have the information you need. Maybe you just don't have any other choice but to let them just kind of sit.
Do we see him get traded soon? Like if he gets traded, because I can't imagine they pay him to just sit the whole year.
If the price comes down, yeah. But if they keep it at, they want 2 firsts and 2 seconds and a prospect and like a guy like Tua or something like that. I mean, forget about it. I'm not doing that with a guy that could sit out the whole year. I mean, it's just not worth it, especially the money aspect as well. So if they come down on the price, maybe a first, 2 seconds, they're obviously going to get less than they would. If it was a normal situation, he was just sitting out, no legal problems. Yeah, I think they would have traded him a while back. But with all the others, the kind of the baggage that comes with it right now, they would have to come off their price.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. I mean, it's like I said, it's a weird situation that you're in, and I would just, if I was, now it's at this point, and other teams know that you're kind of boxed into a corner, just take the best deal you can get.
Yeah,
wash your hands of it and be done. But
yeah,
you'd think Nick Caserio would want to like start, and maybe that's it. Maybe it is because it's his first year there, and he doesn't want to blow this, and now that just sets the tone for his entire Texans tenor.
Maybe. I don't think they're going to be great either way, though. So you might just cut your losses.
Yeah, I agree.
Go for the next Trevor Lawrence.
Worth keeping an eye on. Hey, how about do that?
Yeah,
straight up. Hey,
Ankapalooza.
We'll give you. We'll give
no
you
way.
Trevor Lawrence if you give us.
Not even Jacksonville's dumb enough to do that.
Hey, how about Green Bay? Swap.
That's
Denver. Denver was a team that, I mean, they named Teddy Bridgewater their starter.
Denver people are not keeping an eye on Denver. Denver's going to be a pretty good team this year.
I just don't know if Teddy Bridgewater can still be good enough, though. I like him, but I thought he was going to be way better in Carolina than he was, and he wasn't.
Yeah, Carolina doesn't have the defense that Denver does, and the players around him. Jerry Jeudy's going to be in second year. They have a bunch of they still have a bunch of good players on defense. I mean, their defense, and also that stadium still, up in the clouds,
mile high. So, anywho's, that's going to do it for this edition of the show. Like we said at the top, new time. We had been on Sundays. Now we're doing Monday nights. Every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. You can find us here live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. Just look for the 360 Sports Show. You can always email the show if you don't want to jump in on the live streams. That's the 360 Sports Show at gmail.com. And if you missed the live stream, you could rewatch any of those platforms, or you could take us on the go with the podcast through Sounder FM or wherever you get your podcast. There we go. Made it almost through the show and bungled the last 10 seconds. Wherever you get your podcasts from. There you go. If you want to listen to more of me, just gargling words.
That really got you. Jeez.
Go and check out the podcast side of the show. So I'm Andy Pizzelli. He's Christian Lauber. Have a good night, everybody.
See ya.